Greetings, I'm Scrab, and this is the second part of my electronic trigger introduction and installation guide for the Tokyo Marui MP7 AEP to HPA guide series. In this part, we will continue with the installation of the electronic trigger and reassembly of the replica. In the previous part, we left our progress at removing the universal plug board from the main kit. Let's continue. Place the plug board on the top of the electronic trigger kit. The orientation is irrelevant, and screw in its screws. Depending on the origin, the markings of the plug board sockets may differ. The original Polarstar has con 1 to con 4, and the Airsoftjunkiez one has C1, SN, SL, and TR. Now plug in the switches connectors to the right sockets. The trigger switch goes to the con 4 or TR, the full auto to the con 3 or SL socket. You can also arrange the switches cables like I did. You can freely use a tape or a cable tie. Plug in the solenoid valve extension cable to the con 2 or SN socket. Through the barrel hole, pull on the trigger assembly on the inner barrel and the HPA kit assembly. Guide them both into the replica. Be cautious on the cables. Try to not get stuck and damage them. Doing this way, the trigger assembly is easier to slide into the replica to its position. Slide in the fire selector lever to hold in the trigger assembly and pull out the HPA assembly. Arrange the electronic trigger cables. Replacing the trigger is a bit tricky move. Its spring goes in first, and you have to rotate it back to its original position. I recommend to use a 3 mm guiding rod, like this screwdriver, to align the trigger and push in its pin from the left side of the replica. Replace the dummy bolt catch lever from the right side. Don't forget its spring to replace too. Replace the other part of the dummy bolt catch from the left side and push in its pin. From the right side, do the same with the fire selector lever. Slide back the cover plate. Don't forget, guide it back to its internal rail. Connect the FCU's wire harness to its socket on the Electronic Trigger KIT mounted plug board and lead it forward through the replica. Connect it with the fire control unit. Partially slide in the HPA kit assembly. The full auto switch on the main kit has no use now, but it might come handy if you will need a spare switch. Connect the solenoid valve contact with its extension cable. Gently pull in the solenoid valve extension cable and with it slide in the HPA kit assembly. Guide and arrange the cables if it's necessary. By plugging in the battery, try out if the electronics works correctly. Semi. Full auto. Semi again. Safe. Seemingly it's working, so we can unplug the battery for now. Before replacing the macro line, be sure that the sealing O-ring in the 90-degree Banjo fitting is in the right position. If it's not, push it back, otherwise it can be damaged easily and won't seal anymore. Replace the macro line and screw in the 90-degree Banjo fitting into the HPA engine. Replace the rubber connector cap to the solenoid valve. Slide back the stock base. Push back the body pins. Screw back the body pin screws with a 2 mm hex key. Replace the dust cover plate spring. Screw in the charging handle screw and try out if the dust cover plates move freely. Arrange the cables around the universal plug board. By the way, as you might see, all of the cables, contacts, and sockets are accessible just by removing the top rail. Replace the top rail and screw in its screws with a 2.5 mm hex key. Don't forget that the longer screw go at the front. Replace the iron sights if they were removed. For test it out, plug in the battery once again and with the FCU guide it into the replica. Replace the front cap with the muzzle device. Quickly test out if the electronics is working. It does. Connect the macro line to a high pressure air source and test out the system. Safe, semi, full auto, semi again. It's working perfectly. That was the introduction of the electronic trigger and its installation to an already HPA modified MP7 AEP replica. If you have any questions, contact me at ScrabArmory@gmail.com. Thank you for tuning in. Take care of yourself. Bye.